Welcome to the Tactical Dent Tech Podcast. You are now part of a small underground movement of dent technicians from all over the world. We are on a mission to change our industry with innovation, intelligence, and skill. But because we don't rely on an insurance company to steer customers our way, we need to do things different. We need to do things smarter. We do that through a network of technicians that we call the Tactical Tech Movement. Now let's get this revolution started.
Hey, what's up, everybody? John Hiley here with Angela Hiley on the Tactical Dent Tech Podcast. And for some reason, she's sitting over there looking at me like a deer in headlights. Maybe it's because she's got cramps.
Yeah, let's just tell everybody about that.
Well, that's what you just told me before we came on the show.
That's between a wife and a husband.
She was giving me that look like that little girl in the car seat. Did I tell you that she gives? I was like, I got cramps.
You know what? I'm sure that the majority of men that listen to this podcast probably
have cramps too.
No, they probably understand what you're going through right now.
So, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to this week's one and only show. And be honest with you, we just been super busy, and we are currently packing the Tactical Gorilla Grip up right now to start shipping out the pre-orders. So,
dun dun dun.
Yeah, we got everything back. Luckily, we have everything to ship out the pre-orders, but we did get a group of them that went to the engraver, and here we started. Kind of got a deal with them where they got to spray this primer stuff when they do this laser engraving on it, and it takes a lot of time to get that primer stuff off. Not really a whole lot, but to take it off of our mounting device that we give them and all that kind of stuff. So we made a deal with him that we bring it back here and we'd go ahead and clean the primer off, and he would shave some of the costs off for that. So the wifey was this morning taking off some of the primer, and come to find out some of it didn't get engraved on the radius. So literally it said like it had the middle of my Tactical logo, and on the right and on the left it did not completely engrave it. So we're like, oh shit, like this stuff, like literally you can run a knife over it and you can scratch it and try to scratch it off, and it's really hard to get off. So we're like, oh, fuck. So we call him, and he's like, well, I should be able to. I'm like, dude, I don't think you understand how much these things cost. So there is no should be able to. The shit's going to fucking be fixed, And, oh, yeah, I'll be able to do it. So, I've got all the polishing stuff and all the sandpapers here and all that stuff, and I actually developed a little method that I can knock that shit right off there, and it looks like brand new, so...
Yeah,
we're going to be taking it. Of course, I'm going to give him the sandpaper and all that stuff and say, here you go, knock yourself out.
well,
But
yeah.
we do have enough to fill all the pre-orders and everything like that. But that's just a little shit, man. I talked to you guys about manufacturing. I've talked to you guys about stuff like that. And that's a little shit you don't calculate in. You're like, okay, this is going to come from here. Or, for instance, some of my supplies that I ordered were on back order, so I had to go order them from somewhere else. Or actually, same company. We just had to find something a little bit different, but the same, So there's just like all this little shit that appears and comes up that you've got to grapple your way through when you're manufacturing anything. Well, I'll give you another example. I tried 25 millimeter handle grips, and when they sent them to me, they sent them in like a green color, and I'm like, okay, well, fuck. Well, I'm not going to use green, but that being said, I can at least try to make sure the 25 millimeter will fit over it, okay? So it fits, and the grip, what it is, it's a heat shrinking grip. So we heat shrink them right here onto the handle grip. And so I went ahead and put in the order for, how many ever handle grips, a shit ton of them. I mean, it was like, hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of this handle grip material. And we cut it here. But it shows up here, and I'm like, motherfucker, it won't fit on the grips. And so I had to develop this. We found that it was just slightly smaller, okay? So I had to develop this pair of needle nose pliers that I wrapped some stuff around the end of them, and I got my son John coming in here and slightly stretching them so they just barely fit over there. But at least the good thing is that when you go to heat treat them, they bite down really quickly. But again, There you go, man. That's something you didn't calculate. So the 25 millimeter green looked like it was a 1/4 inch fucking bigger than the 25 millimeter black.
When you came up with that way of figuring it out. You were like stretching it one way, and then I was doing it, and I stretched it the other way, and it would fit on better. And then what was that comment that you made to me?
I said, damn, I'm glad I figured that out.
No, you said something like, something if you give it to somebody that's lazy or something of that nature.
That was a Henry Ford quote. Henry Ford said, take the laziest person and give them the hardest job because they'll find an easy way to do it.
Well, I'm not fucking lazy.
And she looks at me, she goes, are you calling me lazy? And I'm like, no.
We all know I'm not lazy.
That's some good shit, though. That's
I'm a
good quote,
doer.
though. Yeah. She's a doer.
I am a doer.
Can you do it?
Yes, I can.
Can you?
Yes.
All right. Good. So, jumping into this podcast here, been interesting where my mind's been over the last week, and I've kind of introduced Miss Angela here to it. She's been on a one-day hiatus by mowing the grass and doing all that shit yesterday.
Oh, God. This happens every year when the weather warms up and the grass starts growing like crazy in the spring. And I tell myself every year I'm not going to do this. Well, you know, the grass needs mowed once a week. And I let the grass go more than a week. And I thought, no big deal. Won't be no problem. Front yard, no problem whatsoever. Backyard, that was a different story. I pretty much had a meltdown because I was a turd and waited, and the lawnmower kept cutting out because the grass was too tall and too thick. And I ended up having to rake the whole backyard when I was done mowing the grass. But what people don't realize is how big is our backyard?
Yeah, it's pretty fucking big.
Yeah, and here's the thing, though. I basically had a meltdown, but I knew that I couldn't take the rake and hit it on the deck or hit it on the tree because there's a busy road behind us. So all of the people in the vehicles would have had, you know,
I'm sure they've seen worse.
I was not going to do that at all. I cried. I'm not going to lie, because I was so pissed. And then I was just like trying to blame, I was blaming John. And I was like, no, this is not John's fault.
I have no idea why she blames me on this shit.
It's like, this is my fault. This is my doings. But hey, you know what? I sucked it up and I did it. And after I raked the yard, I had probably like 12 piles of grass.
The worst thing is when I call her when she's blaming me on all this shit. And she picks up the phone, and in her mind at that moment, I'm the reason why all this shit happened.
But hey, the backyard looked gorgeous though, didn't it? When you came home, you were like, wow, that looks really nice.
Yeah, I gave you a pat on the ass for it.
John. It looked really nice. So basically, I sucked it up.
Nice.
So you know what? Like, that just...
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Exactly. That's what I did. Yeah. I had a meltdown. I cried my eyes out, and then I was like, fuck it. You know what? I can fix this. It's no big deal. And I did.
So I let her slack a little bit today, but, you know, we'll get her back to work tomorrow.
Oh, my God. I'm dealing with female issues right now, okay? And today is not the best day.
Oh, guys. You guys are shaking your head right now like he's in fucking trouble.
Well, they probably understand.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that they understand about female issues, huh?
Well, yeah, if they're married or,
well,
they have a girlfriend or, fiance or whatever, they know. They know.
I always look at female issues as like the first time I landed on the moon.
Oh, my God.
I'm very confused. I don't understand any of it.
You know what? I think they have this belt that men can actually put on, and it makes you have the same symptoms as what females go through once a month.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, all the cramping and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing, though. There's one time that I was constipated, and I knew that was just as bad as giving birth.
No.
You know, they say, though, no, in all honesty, though, I almost called the ambulance and had them cut my back open.
Oh, my God.
Do a C-section.
Well, why would they cut your back open?
To take it out of there.
No, it would be in your intestines.
So anyhow,
Oh my God.
they actually say that about them damn. What are them kidney stones?
No, wait a minute. I have to tell the story because this is so funny. So the other day we were in Walmart. We were actually coming out of Walmart, and I was like, "Oh my God, John!" I was like, "Did you fart?"
And
And
I'm
he's
like,
like, "No," and he had his mouth wide
I'm
open.
like, no, that wasn't me. But
You're like, "That's
I think
karma."
they had popcorn.
No, you're like,
I'm like,
"That's
am I tasting popcorn?
No, you're like, "That's karma."
I'll be honest with you. It tasted just like somebody walked up and took a shit right in my mouth.
No, but tell him that one time we were in Walmart and we were there by the cookies. Oh my God.
Well, I don't know what it is the other day, though. I
You
ended up
ate
eating a
up.
kale salad. If you guys ever want to shit your fucking britches off and then, rip ass for the rest of the day, eat a kale salad.
I didn't think you were going to like it. You ate the whole thing, and I'm like, oh,
So I ate a whole kale salad. And then on top of that, we get these badass cookies. They got the
They're
gayest
vegan.
name ever, but they're called vegan bites or something like that.
They got a lot
But
of fiber.
they
and
got a ton of
flaxseed.
fiber and flaxseed in them, which is all healthy. And it's like the healthiest fucking cookie that tastes good. It's really, really good. In fact, they were on like a Shark Tank. And I want to say one of them, I can't remember who bought into that. Maybe it was Cuban.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
the
maybe
one
it was
that owns
Mark
the-
Cuban that
yeah.
bought into that.
Mhm.
And so they even got these, they had these brownie ones, which are dangerous because you'll eat the whole thing. And then you eat the whole thing, you top that on some kale salad, man. I was like literally like blowing up all the time. And we went into Walmart, and it was so hilarious because
By the cookies.
she was across the other cookies on the other side of the aisle, and I seen her look at me and go, "Oh my God." And the whole section just felt like again, So we ended up making a beeline out of there as an employee girl comes over there to stock stuff. And then
She ain't even doing anything.
some
though.
dude walking through the store, he walks right into it. He's like, I hear him from like behind me. He's like, "Shit, motherfucker." He like, "Damn shit." And I don't even think he's seen us over there, so he probably thought it was the girl who was stocking that did that.
Oh, yes.
And
Blowing
so I'm
ass.
known to leave some really bad trails everywhere for people to get hit by. And I got the revenge, the karma hit me the other day because literally we're walking out. She's like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "That wasn't me." And I'm like, "But, oh God.
Like, that's karma.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely doesn't taste like one of mine. No."
Woo.
So good shit there. Good shit. But, oh God. So we are going to be talking about our dark side today, aren't we?
Sure, why not?
Well, I guess that could go along with a fart a little bit. It's definitely your mischievous side. I think I'm in pretty good connection with my dark side, actually.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I would agree with you.
Yeah. I don't deny it. Okay. And that's really what we're going to be talking about today, because when a lot of people hear somebody say your dark side immediately, because most of us as kids and as children, we were taught that there's two types of people. There's a good person and a bad person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we were taught this is what good people do. This is what bad people do,
Yeah.
So, for instance, if we ate too many cookies or more than we were supposed to when we were a kid, we would say, no, we didn't do that.
Yeah.
Because we would deny that at that time, we were selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Or at that time that we did something that we weren't supposed to do. And then next thing you know, as you begin denying that side of yourself, and I'm talking about, you're literally when you're born, you really have no dark side or no light side of you, right?
Right.
Literally, you just do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Yeah.
And you're innocent. You're until you're told that some of the shit you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
You're innocent, per se, right? So by nature, you're born as who you actually are. Okay.
Mhm.
And as you grow up and you do stuff that annoys your parents, stuff that, they deem bad, don't shit on the floor, don't, stick a fork in the
Light socket.
light socket, all these things, right, that you thought may have been cool, little by little, they say, no, that's bad. And then you go to school and they say, oh, you're being a little greedy. That's bad, right?
Yeah.
And then you say, oh, well, I'm going to hide this from the rest of the world. Now, that's where the problem comes in when not being connected with your dark side, okay? The people that I'm the most fucking leery of, are the ones that push their dark side so far down that they can't even fucking see it, okay?
Yeah.
Because now you're dealing with somebody who is in denial of their natural, they're in denial of who they really are. And in all honesty, I think that I get that by understanding that I was in denial before of who I was. I was an individual before who said, maybe I need to act this way so people will think this way about me.
Mm-hmm.
Or I need to be this way in the public eye, but then when I fucking go hang around my buddies, I do whatever I want,
Yeah.
And what that does, it literally allows people to push down emotions that they could surface and deal with. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and every time I see somebody that's over fucking, like over the top, unless they're a Buddhist monk or somebody's done some serious work on their shit,
Yeah.
somebody who's over the top, smiley wily, and you see through their shit like nothing's bad, everything's good in their world. I know that to watch out for that motherfucker, and I know that they're hiding something, that they're just not willing to actually deal with or even accept, because we've been taught that. That's been beat into us for all the way through school, all the way from our parents. They did it out of trying to mold us into good people, but it's like every emotion that we have, whether it's dark, whether it's light, is something, it's part of us.
Yeah. And there's a right time to use that dark side, and then there's a wrong time to use that dark side.
Right. And you got to ask yourself, okay, so let's say one of their dark sides is they have an anger issue, right? Now, there's two ways that you can look at that. Are you going to be ashamed of your anger issue? Or are you going to try to figure out what's the core of the anger and then realize that it's not all bad,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, are there times that getting angry can serve you?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Are there times that you have to stand up for yourself, that you have to become passionate, that you have to become angry where it can serve you? So it's not necessarily a bad emotion, okay?
No. Uh-huh.
But I'm telling you, man, the motherfuckers that push that shit down, their anger down, and every time something happens, they never release it because they say, well, it's not a good person who gets angry.
Mm-hmm.
A good person doesn't. Them dudes are the ones that fucking end up on the edge of a building. You know what I mean? Getting ready to jump at some point, because everything at some point when you put and this a good friend of mine told me this a long time ago. It says the more things that you stack over your head, the heavier that fucking weight gets, and one day all that shit is going to come crushing down on you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's so counter intuitive in this culture to say I don't trust people that act like that nothing's wrong with them. But that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When I meet somebody and they're nothing but smiley, wily emotion, and they're nothing but unicorns and fucking rainbows,
Yeah.
I see right through that shit. I'm like, either you're stuffing something deep, deep down,
Mm-hmm.
Or you are literally just not only lying to the rest of the world, you're lying to yourself.
I always tell everybody that I'm just the sweetest bitch you'll ever meet.
The sweetest bitch you'll ever meet. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, I really think this topic needs to be explored because, I mean, I see kids coming up, and the truth of the matter is, when it comes to anything, like whether it comes to your business, when it comes to your relationships, we're at a point in life where people are beginning to like see through that shit.
Yeah.
They're beginning to people trust other people that are genuinely real, that display emotions that they have, and they see courage in people that are willing to talk about them emotions because they're afraid to tap into their own dark side. They're afraid what they're going to see, what they're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly believe that you got to be one with your dark side and with the side that's the light to
Yeah.
really live a life that you can begin to be very, very happy with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're at a point now where, you know, for instance, I'll give you an example. So let's just say like your entire light and darkness, okay, like your whole body, your whole life is a castle, right? And every emotion that you feel is in a room, all right? So through that whole castle, like every emotion you feel is a specific room. So you got love, and then you've got hate in a room, okay? And everything has its counter opposite. So you got part in a castle that is giving, and then you got another one that's greedy, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you've got all these rooms, right? But throughout your life, like somebody came along and said, you need to close that door of hate, lock it, and never look in there again, because that's what a bad person is. So although I close that emotion off, I've never dealt with why it's there, and I've never accepted why that emotion can actually serve me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, in every aspect, there's ways that you can be served, okay? You just got to know how to apply it, all right? So can greed serve you? It can, if you understand the principles of what brings you the money that you want to possess.
Mm-hmm.
Because truly, the strongest principles to bring money to you are bringing value to the world. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So technically, you really don't have to be greedy, but I think we all face that. There's always times that we all want more. You know, we all want to become bigger. We all want to become better. So there's like a driving force there that tells you.
Do you think it's all about like how you do it though?
It is. It's about how you do it, but it's also like opening up to saying, okay, what's the motivation behind greediness, right? So I believe that there's a force behind there that's good and bad.
Yeah.
There's the force behind it that says, I want to become bigger. I want to become better. It's what's propelled us through, you know, all of mankind, you know, from a farmer saying, you know, I'm going to start farming and I'm going to start raising animals so these people can go out and specialize in their own service.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And, he made money, and other people specialize in maybe, you know, creating a cart, building a cart, you know, whatever it is, hunting, you know, whatever it is. That's the very first person. The farmer is the very first person that exiled us from the hunting, gathering mentality or tribe mentality that we had to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Because now that there's a farmer, there's excess food here, and we can purchase it with something, but we got to develop a skill inside of us to purchase it. So, you know, you could even say that becoming really, really good at what you do is a form of being a little bit greedy. So what I'm saying is it's not necessarily always a bad emotion.
Yeah.
So you need to open yourself up to that. How can I harness these emotions in a good way? But if you just take it and you lock it in the cellar and you say, that's bad and this is good, that emotion's still going to be there because you've never really challenged it. Mm-hmm. You've never really seek to understand its origin and where it comes from, not only, you know, primally, where does it come from in a primal aspect, right?
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people, I mean, they would, and just for instance, like in a tribe, in a primal aspect, you would always want to try to outdo your tribal brothers. You'd always want to be the big man in the tribe, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's honestly where that stems from. It's a way that we've always, as human beings, challenged each other to become better, to gain more, to be higher status than the other person, not to belittle that other person, but for them to look at you and say, man, I want to do better than him.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of the way, you know, I talked a lot about in the past about how, you know, I was, as a kid, I would play football and stuff like that. So I always understood the aspects of competition. Yeah. I would go out there in the field. I'd want to be the best. I'd go in the basketball court. I'd want to try to be the best, you know?
Yeah.
And you even know that in my later years where I started playing basketball all the time. And then I started, you know, kicking everybody's ass at Thanksgiving. Why did I do that?
Jonathan? I thought Jonathan was better than you.
No. He might be better than me now, but not then. Not then. And but you know, I would get to go to Thanksgiving. I would get to kick her dad's ass on the court.
That That is so wrong. My dad is like the nicest, and my dad loves you to pieces.
Yeah, but you should see his check. That
No,
guy
my dad
fights
is-
tooth or nail to win.
Yes, my dad is very competitive.
Yeah.
He's very competitive.
Yeah, so, but in an aspect, I mean, would you consider that greedy that I wanted to win?
No.
Right?
No.
That's what I'm getting at there. There's like every emotion is kind of like when I talked to that preacher the one day, and he explained to me. He said, there's a good and bad on everything. Like love and lust, for instance, climbs the same vine.
Yeah.
It looks a lot alike, but the feeling inside of there, the intention inside of there is totally different.
Yeah.
So let's say you have a lustful heart. Somebody has you have a lustful heart. Maybe you need to explore that and explore exactly why you feel the way you feel. And then you explore love,
Yeah.
right? Because usually if somebody has a very lustful heart, then it's because they're probably lacking in the love department. They don't feel loved, So they're trying to replace it with something that's...
and lust would be just a temporary feeling, though, wouldn't
Absolutely. Absolutely. But it all boils down to something that you're lacking. And if you push it into you lock the key, let's say your castle is all your emotions. You lock the door of darkness, like you were told, you're a bad boy if you're lusty or whatever, you're bad, and you just lock it away and you never deal with it. You're going to be fighting that fucking shit your whole life. And not only that, you're going to feel guilty for a natural emotion. Something that you could have brought to light.
Yeah, I would definitely say there's a healthy way of dealing with them. Yeah, dealing with your dark side. And then there's an unhealthy way of dealing with it.
I believe that the unhealthy way always comes from repressing it. Because now you've put something somewhere that will be like a fucking volcano.
But don't you also think, like, if you don't accept it and don't deal with it and have a good balance, that could cause a lot of like chaos in your life and the relationships that you have with
Sure.
with other people.
Oh, you see it all the time. You see everybody, what I see in the world is most people becoming a victim of their past,
Yeah.
a victim of, the way their father treated them, a victim of the way their mother treated them, a victim of the way,
I know, that's like with my aunt. So my aunt's having like some health issues and she's like in her late 70s or whatever. And she's just got a really negative, pissy attitude and is just like not very considerate or nice to her family members that are actually trying to help her out. And
And
here
I'm
she
sure-
tries to blame it on because she had such a horrible childhood. And I'm like, damn, woman, you're fucking in your late 70s. You should have like dealt with this a long time ago. And this doesn't validate for you to be treating other people like that.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you guys something. I'm going to go as far to say something, and this might be controversial to you guys, but I'm going to explain to you exactly why it is. Any reaction that you're reacting to today that happened in the past is your fault. It's 100% your fault. And I'm going to tell you exactly why that is, okay? Now, let's say you're in traffic and somebody cuts you off in traffic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they get right in front of you and they cut you off. And you get mad at them. You start beeping your horn. You flip them off and you do all this stuff, right? Whose fault was it? It was your fucking fault because you're the one that decided to react the way that you did.
Mm-hmm.
That person came into your life and you reacted, but you had a decision to decide on exactly how you were going to react to that.
Yeah.
You made the decision. That person could have cut you off and you could have just said, you know what? You could have just went ahead and made a right turn and went on your way.
Yeah.
But it's your fault the moment that you react based on the way somebody else outside of you pokes and prongs you.
Yeah.
Right? And I understand that's hard. I mean, it's one thing we're gonna react to shit and stuff like that. But the truth of the matter is that once somebody spawns you on, it's your fault because you reacted to it. You had a choice and you had a decision.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, you got to bring a lot of shit to light, a lot of shit in front of you, and you've got to fucking deal with it. You know, everybody's going to tell you, everybody's going to told you your whole life to be ashamed of these feelings. You know, to be ashamed of, you know, almost anything negative that you feel that you should be ashamed of it. When what you should really be doing is owning it,
Yeah.
realizing that it's part of who you are, and bringing it to your attention so you can do things to become better and feel better and fix it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even tell you probably how many relationships are just absolutely destroyed by people's previous and past issues.
Yeah.
Fucking destroyed by something that happened in the past.
And normally, like a lot of times, is like if you're looking at a relationship, if your significant other is doing something to you and you know that it's wrong, more than likely that's something that has happened to them previously,
Yeah.
growing up, and it's something that they never really fully worked on to correct.
And I'll even go a step further to tell you this. And literally, I know this to be true. So I'm just going to give you guys an example. So, for instance, we all know women out there that take massive amounts of probably verbal abuse. They get with the wrong men, and they take these men, they take their shit, you know. And we all know them women. And, you know, some of the nice guys out there scratch their head and they say, wow, why is this pretty girl with this guy that's in and out of jail and, you know, beating her and shit like that, you know, and she just keeps running back to him, right? And I'll tell you exactly why, and I'll tell you guys exactly the reason why you'll accept anything that's thrown at you in any relationship, whether it's man, woman, whatever. That literally that woman that has this man in a relationship that's treating her poorly, I can certainly guarantee you that her self-talk, the way that she talks to herself in her mind, is worse than the way he's talking to her.
Yeah, but also, though, you've got some women that think they can save these individuals, though.
But I couldn't...
And if they go and get help and do this and do that, then they're going to change
But I can't see a woman that has a healthy conversation inside of herself, that's confident, that's worked on her issues, that's became the best version of herself, putting up with that shit.
No, she
You
would
will
just
only
leave.
allow people to treat you as bad as you treat yourself.
Exactly, but also here's another thing, though. When you are in a relationship, okay, everybody has their breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody will put up, it just depends on the individual. Like, they will stick around and they will, they will stay around for as long until they reach their breaking point. That's basically it.
Yeah.
When someone reaches their breaking point, they're just like, this isn't even worth it. I don't really care where we are at financially. I'm just willing to just basically walk away from it.
Mm-hmm. You know, another interesting thing is, I'll tell you guys something, and I'll kind of break this down to something that you guys might be dealing with, okay? So I'll tell you guys that I partnered with a guy who, and I really think the guy's a nice guy. I mean, honestly, I really, really do. But the way that he talked to his employees was really interesting. He was always joking, calling them, you know, fag boy and dipshit and, you know, hey, dumbass, you know, and was doing this shit, right, to all of his employees. And it always seemed like really joking in spirit and all this kind of stuff, right? But I'm not the motherfucker that puts up to that. If somebody looks at me in the face and calls me a dumbass, I'm going to stare at them till either they jump out of their fucking skin and start grabbing the side of their neck, or literally just fucking walk out of the room. And that's what happened one day with me and the guy. I was sitting in his office finishing up some paperwork, and he goes, you fucking dumb shit. And I just sat there and I just looked at him. He smiled. He started laughing. I just sat there and looked at him. He started grabbing his neck, started grabbing his collar line. You could tell he was kind of choking up. The next couple words he say were really, you know how when people try to speak, but their words get caught by their own saliva, where they're trying to, like, their heart's pumping and all this kind of shit. That's the last fucking time he ever said that to me. You want to know why? Because I'm not going to be walking around that motherfucker's shop having him call me a dumbass ever. And I don't say that to myself, so there ain't nobody going to fucking say that to me.
I'm trying to think who that person was.
You probably know. I don't even think you've actually met the guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but I'm sure you probably told me what
Yeah.
that.
But that's just an example, right? So I don't walk around all day thinking I'm a dumbass. I don't walk around all day bad-mouthing myself. Now, his employees probably did because they had years of this guy joking around, just talking shit, you know? And literally, he probably created a team of fucking dumbasses. And I could almost guarantee, based on his shop and his reviews and stuff like that, that's exactly what he fucking did. You tell somebody every day they're a fucking dumbass or dipshit, or he's calling the one guy gay boy. You tell people that shit over and over again, you're going to create that stuff around you. You're going to build that around you. So I try to be real careful, you know, and I'm not saying not joking around, but I really do think that people got to watch little jokes. And, you know, I'm going to tell you why, because literally you're going to offend people and they might not even say it. They might laugh with you at the moment and they're secretly going to harbor a grudge with you. And even Napoleon Hill actually said that. Napoleon Hill said little jokes were almost the worst thing that you could possibly ever do because you don't know what chord you touched on. Now, the interesting thing about it is that shit doesn't bother me at all. I'm not going to let nobody belittle me, and that's just because I demand respect, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But the shit doesn't bother me because literally, I mean, you know, you sit there and, you know, for instance, if you go to a bodybuilder who's just shredded and cut for a competition, you call him a fat ass. He's going to laugh at you, right? Because he knows there's no truth to that statement.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Usually people are only offended and hurt by something that they know there's a sense of truth to, okay?
Yeah.
So again, that's why little jokes are the killer, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times most people may be that little joke.
Yeah.
And when they hear it, it'll cut like a dagger in them,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So, but anyhow.
How do you feel when I call you a dork?
I don't care about any of that.
How does it make you feel?
How does it feel when I trapped you in the office after you farted earlier and shot air freshener all over you?
You're not supposed to tell people about that, John Hiley. No, you didn't. You didn't like squirt the air freshener on me.
I created a wall of air freshener that backed you into a corner.
Oh God.
And then I held it to my butt and turned around and shot it out at her through my butt.
But at least I was considerate and told you to get out of the room.
And then what did I do? I laid one on my son John. Walked right into it.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, maybe you guys can come work with me, Hale, and eat a couple of my farts.
Dear God.
That'll be my bonus for the week.
That's horrible, John Hiley.
Speaking of bonuses, I just want to tell you guys, man, there's a fee for this podcast now.
Oh, there is.
There's a fee for it. Yep.
There is a fee.
And the fee is, if you haven't left a review, you better leave a fucking review, man.
Mm-hmm.
Or get the fuck off here. If you haven't left a review, stop listening to this podcast.
Yep.
Yeah, get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody. So anyhow, I appreciate you. And again, when you do leave a review, we're going to put you in a contest, and we're going to be doing some giveaways. So wasn't it, who ended up winning the Gorilla Grip handle?
It's right there.
Yeah, we're going to be shipping that out.
I think it's Randall. Is that the gentleman's name?
Okay. Yeah, Randall from Dentless. Yeah, we got his information here. And we actually did the giveaway. God, what was that? We did it live a couple weeks ago.
Well, you went live.
Them motherfuckers are going to be shipping. So, Randall, you're going to be having yours real soon. And it was
Yes.
kind of cool because Randall was trying to get in on the pre-order. And he missed out on a little bit. But we're also going to be dropping our handles. Anson's going to be stocked up with them here pretty soon. So, they put in a big order.
Yep.
And we going worldwide, baby.
Mm-hmm.
We going worldwide.
Yes, we are.
So, all right, everybody. Anyhow, we appreciate you for coming along on this podcast. And if you're oppressing them emotions, if you're trying to hide the fucking cool side of yourself,
The cool side.
of yourself,
No,
bring that shit out.
Man, you just have to have a nice balance of both. Or else you're going to lose your shit and go off the deep end.
Well, yeah, you can't be super bad all the time.
No.
But just don't push them emotions aside, you know?
Yeah.
Deal with them. Bring them up. Talk about them. The more you talk about shit like that, I'll give you guys an example. And I know he's probably listening, so I'm not going to talk about who it was, but there was a gentleman who was having problems with his marriage. And apparently I was all drunk at the bar in Texas. We had our mega media event. He actually just called me this week and told me about it. And I was talking about relationships, and I was talking about how that literally before you try to change somebody else, you change your wife, you better look at your fucking shit and you better, get your shit together and you better make sure you're the best fucking version of yourself. Because number one, you shouldn't be trying to change other people. You know what I mean? You should be working on you so you become the best fucking product because everybody wants a good product. And that's my advice to anybody. You have marriage problems? No, don't work on your fucking wife. Go work on yourself and quit being a bitch and acting like a girl and fighting back with her and getting down, to that level to where you're piping back and forth all the time and all that kind of stuff. You're being fucking feminine. You know what I mean? You're being fucking gay. Like, stop doing that. Be a fucking man and stand up and say, that's the way you feel. That's fine.
But also flowers help and writing something extremely sweet to your...
Nude photos.
No, I don't know. John sent me photos of him. John sent me some of these photos. And I was
what did I send you? Did I send you some nudies?
No. But you had your boxer shorts all the way up. And he was like, because John's got some really nice legs. Like
I was downstairs in the bathroom sending them to her, and she's upstairs.
Yeah, I'm like upstairs laying in bed relaxing. John tells me he had to go downstairs and take a crap. And next thing you know, I'm getting these text messages. And John's standing in front of the mirror and he's like flexing his legs and taking some pictures and sending them. I mean, John's got some really nice legs, but I'm just like, babe, you don't need to, I don't need those.
It gets her going. It gets her going, guys. Occasionally I send them to Mike too and I say I send Mike messages like that and I say thank me later.
Oh my God. No, he does not.
Yes, I do.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I sent everybody them ones when I was in them tight undies.
Oh yeah, and then I stuck a sock down there to make your package look a lot bigger.
You're not supposed to tell anybody that. It did look giant too. It looked like a fucking like a damn like if you put a whole pack of bananas down there. Like not like it looked like a
I think it was. I don't even think it was a sock. I think I took an extra pair of boxers and I rolled them
like
up
wadding up a whole pair of boxers.
No,
and
I didn't
shoving
wad them. It
looked like I had a fucking elephant's cock, and I would just send them to people and not mention anything about that.
What is that? I shaped it. That's what I did. I shaped it. I'm like, you got to stand at this angle. That way it looks the biggest.
Bam. Now you guys know my secret. Fuck. I stuffed my shorts. All right, everybody, we out of here. Yes. I don't want to keep going. I'll say something else to get me in trouble. All right, guys, appreciate you and look forward to seeing you on that next one.
And remember, it's all about the motherfucking hustle.
Pew, pew.
Bang, bang.